Welcome to She's 70. What's next? Hi, I'm Imogene, and I'm so glad you're here. When I was laid off from my IT job at 55, I didn't panic. I paused. I asked myself one simple question. Do I get another corporate job, or do I finally give eBay my full attention? That moment began the next chapter of my work and my life. This channel is where I share real life after 70. Solo travel, moments with my meetup group, reflections on life, and my 26-year journey selling on eBay. Because life at any age can be bold, adventurous, and full of surprises. If you're new here, I'd love for you to subscribe and join me. When I was laid off from my IT job at 55, I didn't panic. I paused. I said to myself, you're 55 years old. Do you get another job, or do you sell on eBay full time? I chose myself. I chose eBay. I had spent 33 years in IT, 5 years in the military as a computer operator, 5 years at Marriott Corporation, and 23 years as a Computer Programmer Analyst at the company where I spent most of my career. When the layoff came in 2009, people kept telling me they were sorry. I appreciated it, but I wasn't devastated. Deep down, I knew this was my opportunity to finally grow my side hustle into something more. My job offered excellent benefits, and I received severance equal to a year's pay. That gave me breathing room and a deadline. I gave myself 1 year to make eBay work once the severance stopped. From day one, I treated eBay like my job.
And these 3 sellers are part of a program where they have raised their hand to say, if you ever need me to educate somebody on the opportunity, just call on me. So let's get into the money making part. We are at a faith-based wealth management conference, and the goal is to be debt free. How do you think eBay plays a role in helping with debt elimination? How can we play a role in the debt management journey, or the debt reduction journey, elimination?
In 1999, when I started, I just did it as a hobby. I got started, and then I saw I could really make some money. So I set a goal to be able to pay a car payment selling on eBay, but I had my full-time IT job at the same time, but I was making that extra money, and I said, okay, I'm going to try to make as much to make a car payment. And I did that. And so then I set another goal and set it higher. So like my goal was like $400. At that time, a car payment was about $400. So I did that. And then when I was no longer working. In 2009, I got laid off my job, and I decided to do eBay full time. And then I was using eBay to pay my bills. And then I've almost completely paid off all my bills with eBay, and I love it.
I woke up every morning, showered, got dressed, and went into my home office. I worked long hours, but it was different when I was building something that was mine. I saved as much of my eBay income as I could, knowing the severance would eventually end. I was committed and determined to make it work. By the time I was laid off, I had already been selling online for years. Books, CDs, DVDs, clothing, collectibles. I knew how to find things people wanted. I also sold on Amazon during that period, but eBay was where my heart was. I loved the creativity, the variety, and the thrill of turning a few dollars into a big sale. What I didn't realize was how hard the slow seasons would hit once eBay became my full-time income. Sales slowed to a crawl, sometimes just a few per month. That was scary because this wasn't extra money anymore. This was my income. It felt like my store had been turned off. I used to call customer service and ask them to reset my store. For years, they did something that made sales start again. Eventually, they told me there was no such thing as resetting your store. I kept calling anyway, until I finally gave up. Those early years taught me something I still tell people today. If you want a full-time eBay business, you have to treat it like a real business. It takes commitment, consistency, and sometimes a few tears. But if you stick with it, it works. One of the greatest blessings of being laid off was the chance to help care for my mother. She had me later in life. She was 41 when I was born, and by the time I was 55, she was 96. Every 6 weeks, I packed up my work, drove 3 hours, and stayed with her for 10 days. If I had still been working a regular job, I never would have had that time with her. I put my eBay store on vacation mode, but I could still take photos, create listings, and keep my business moving. My mother thought it was vacation time. Every day she'd ask, "Where are we going today?" And every day I'd explain that I still had work to do. Then she'd ask, "So, how much money did you make today?" She made me laugh every single visit. I cared for her this way for 5 years, until she passed away at 100, just a few months shy of turning 101. I will always be grateful that eBay gave me the flexibility to be there with her. That was the greatest gift of being laid off. Looking back, losing my job at 55 wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a whole new chapter. I've been selling on eBay for 26 years now, 16 of those full-time since the layoff, and I'm still grateful for that turning point. If you're navigating a change in your own life, a layoff, a transition, or a moment where you're not sure what comes next, I hope my story reminds you that new chapters can begin in unexpected ways. And in the next videos, I'll be sharing more of what I've learned along the way, the good, the slow seasons, and the lessons that only come with time. At 55, I was laid off. I chose eBay. New chapters can begin in unexpected ways. Thank you for being here.